Let the eyes close. For a moment, take in the sensations. The presence. Sensations of the hearing the rain. And you can just stay with that for a few moments. Other practice can be the sound, as that will ground us. So the essence makes its presence through movements. So it's through the movements that we can connect to the presence of the essence. And this movement is termed shakti or spanda. And as we really pay attention to that, our concentration gets stable and we can stay with this energy. Then eventually this energy starts to disclose to us that more still layers of the essence behind the movement. So different kinds of movement making its presence felt, sounds, breeze, the voice, all are movements. And as you keep watching, where are the movements taking place? As you just watch, you can see that the movements are perceptions and sensations, and they are taking place within your consciousness. And now start to connect to Tanu 1, the breathing. So you start to observe the inhalation and exhalation. And as we keep watching, the inhalation and exhalation are two different, distinct experiences. But as you look deeper, both are movements, both are perceptions, and both are occurring in the space of consciousness. So as you start to deeply connect to that shakti or spanda as energy, as the essence of both inhalation and exhalation, you'll start to feel a continuity, a taste of samatva, a taste of oneness. Now, after the next exhale, you continue observing the breath, but we add in a sound for the inhale and the exhale to be internally done. So for the inhale, you can mentally say hum, and for the exhale, you can mentally say sa. So in the retreat, we'll be taking up Kashmir Shaivism based scriptures, and one of the scripture we might be taking up for helping us to do sitting practices would be the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, and one of the practices is the Hamsa practice. So the hum means I am. So inhale is that sound, I am. Inhalation is your feeling, your individuality. Exhale, you're dissolving, and you're dissolving into an unspecified, undifferentiated mass. You're dissolving into the essence of that individuality, which is the universality. And that you say sa. Sa means that. So hum with the inhale, sa with the exhale. And through the inhale, the different identities you play out in your life, you can deliberately celebrate that. So through the inhale, if you're mainly you operate in the role of a mother or a father or a business person, whatever, let that come up and really feel it. And you can affirm saying, I am, hum. And then exhale, that all dissolve. You're not just that personality, and dissolve, you're much more, you're that. Sa. So Hamsa sitting. After the next Hamsa, release the deliberate resonating of these two sounds. Simply be. And see whether you can discern the movement of spanda, the movement of energy. So sometimes you might feel it is a flow which we call Vishranti, like there is a settling down of this energy. Energy seems to be just settling down, like the sun setting down, seems to be settling down into that expansiveness, into the essence. So then you won't see much things present in your consciousness, everything is setting down. Or sometimes you might feel the other way, it's like everything is emerging. So just noticing, like, what is it right now? And then also feel the feel of your consciousness. So this Kashmir Shaivism, we are trying to connect to consciousness, which in this philosophy is named in different ways, one of which is shankara. The meaning is shamkarodi idi shankara, meaning the one which bestows goodwill, which bestows that grace, that's shankara. So, and it's about connecting to that essence. So as if you start to feel a beautiful goodwill, a sense of internally your heart radiates out goodwill to all, to everything, then you're connecting to that essence termed shankara in this particular philosophy. All kinds of one-upmanship, grudges, all those things kind of dissolve as you immerse into that state. Now start to become aware of your middle of the chest point. And you have to try to feel the middle of the chest point, which is within, like it's more like the middle of the rib cage inside. And then corresponding to that point, a second point, which is in the space outside the body. So in line with the middle of the chest, a point in front of the chest, a few inches in front of the chest. So that point is called dvadashanta. So this is an important technique coming up in Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, which we might be doing extensively in the yatra. So dvadashanta is basically, it means 12 finger width from the tip of the nose. So that roughly corresponds, so in the angle of the nose, if you put your 12 fingers down, you'll reach roughly around that chest point in front. So we try to feel that point. There is no way you can sensorily feel it because your nervous system is not connected to that space outside. But you can just think of it, everything is part of consciousness, and you can just imagine it. As the inhalation happens, think that the flow of movement starts from that point outside the chest. So it just goes up through the nostrils towards that top of the nose and then descends down to the middle of the chest, inside. Then exhalation, it starts from inside the body, from the middle of the chest. It rises up, go through that top of the nose and down to the dvadashanta point, which is the space outside the body in line with the middle of the chest, a bit in front. So it's part imagination, part concentration on the breath. So by yourself. Should be more of natural breathing, but you might have to slightly adjust it so that you can last the length in terms of the flow of your attention. You can last the length from dvadashanta point all the way to the middle of the chest inside. That's inhale. Exhale is middle of the chest, go up and out to the dvadashanta point outside. So you continue to do that, starting to also notice that the inner chest point, that's also a point in space. The outer, the Dvadashanta point, that's also a point in space. So starting to also connect to the interconnectedness of these 2 points as both happening in one undifferentiated space. And as you connect to that, slowly this boundary of the body, the outer inner concepts might start to dissolve. So as you continue this for just a few moments more, what can happen is, as you connect to the space, the singular space in which these 2 points are, rather than the movement of one point to the other point and that point to the outer point, you start to connect to that space. And you start to spontaneously be aware of this continuity of yourself as space, within which you're noticing that this movement from one point to the other point is happening, but you're starting to feel yourself as this continuity of space. And a boundaryless insight might just emerge. And that is the 5th verse, which says, Udyamo Bhairavaha. Udyamo Bhairava. So the rising of Bhairava. So that again is another name for consciousness, the rising of that singular mass of non-dual consciousness. So now let go of the focusing on the outer point and the inner point. And most of you, if you have been doing these techniques by now, you feel, what you're feeling is this non-dual, luminescent mass of pleasant consciousness. Now start to become aware of the muladhara chakra point, So that is the middle of the pelvic floor roughly. And then imagine a very slender pathway, like a very slender lotus stem. They even call it a fiber of the lotus stem, very slender, running up from that middle of the pelvic floor all the way to your cranium, to the top of the skull. Now as you inhale, let your awareness flow up this slender midline part and all the way to the crown. And as you exhale, feel that attention which you took up all the way up, exhalation, let it just completely immerse and dissolve into that cranium, into that apex, into that top. And if you really feel kind of absorbed and deep, then you stay there. And after a while, once you find other movements start to take place, you again inhale from that base muladhara all the way up and exhale, dissolve into that apex, into the sahasrara. So the height of each inhale, you try to feel something at the apex of the crown, and as you exhale, pour yourself totally into that sensation at the apex of the crown of the skull. After the next cycle, let go of the deliberate working of moving attention from base to top. So even though you're not doing anything deliberate, as we regularly practice this, or some of us straight away, you might feel the presence of that middle line still. And that presence is like a very subtle kind of lightning. Okay, subtle like a lightning around that middle of the body, corresponding to the line of the vertebral column. It might not be continuous, so it's like you're looking at the sky and every now and then a lightning flash. And if that lightning is flashing always at one area, then you know where to look. You keep on looking, it's dark, and then a subtle, like a lightning flash. And if that lightning is flashing always at one area, then you know where to look. You keep on looking, it's dark, and then a subtle, like a lightning flash. And if that lightning is flashing always at one area, then you know where to look. You keep on looking, it's dark, it's dark, and then a subtle, which can be very distant, but a subtle flash. It's not in a seen way we are talking, it's more of a felt. It's some feeling, it suddenly emerges there. And then as soon as it came, it can vanish just like lightning. What we need is the ability to sit, like looking into the sky, looking into the space of consciousness. And then even as you're intently looking into that space, focus a bit towards the middle, suddenly an emergence of another kind of insight that you don't have to look for that point. The emergence of that space consciousness, the whole spaciousness of consciousness starts to emerge. Udyamo Bhairava, a beautiful pleasantness. And just like this singular space of consciousness, the universal consciousness, it also then connects to a process by which it can evolve out manifestations, each one of us. We will also now labor to evolve out the asanas, but never losing touch with the essence. So we can take a namaste. And slowly recline.